All right, we are live on Facebook. Welcome, everybody. Today is our second week of Friday for Good, and we are joined by Lillian and Julie from Leo. Love to just start off with a little introduction of each of you.
I'll go first. My name's Julie Hebeisen. I work for Leo in the Department of Development and Communications. So challenging times right now for both of those things, but also exciting times, really a lot of really positive, great things coming from our team these days.
Thank you. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you.
And I'm Lillian Romero, Chief Program Officer at Leo. As Julie had indicated, it's definitely challenging times, but I think it's been a great opportunity for us as an organization to be able to come together and serve the community. So we have great things that we'll be able to share with you today.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So just to start off with talking a little about Leo, who you are, what programs you have, before we get into some cool details.
Okay, I can jump again. I'm going to hit you with Leo's mission, which we just newly reworked. So it's nice to have it in its entirety and say it to the world. Our mission is to strengthen the greater Lynn community through resources and services that provide opportunities for children, families, and individuals to thrive. And we serve Lynn, Lynnfield, Marblehead, Nahant, Saugus, Swampscott, and Wakefield. And we're one of the largest childcare, early childcare, and Head Start providers in Essex County. And overall, Leo in total serves about 8,000 people, which is over 3,000 households. Yeah. So on top of this, the Head Start, which is probably the component that we're most known for, we also have weatherization, fuel services, emergency food and shelter. We have a VITA free tax program, plus anything else that gets thrown our way in a pandemic.
Wow. Now, what can you talk a little bit about? You mentioned that you just redid your mission.
We did.
Can you talk a little about that? Because I know from talking to you guys, I thought it was awesome how you guys did it.
Oh, great. Yeah, thank you. We got everyone together. We got our whole organization together, excuse me, which is mighty. You know, it's huge when everyone has a say, but it's also, it felt really powerful. And so we kind of looked at how we were presenting ourselves. First of all, the word Lynn isn't necessarily fair anymore because we service so many additional areas, but also the word economic sort of felt like we could be confused with EDIC, or we were, you know, giving home loans and things like that, which is, you know, obviously not what we're doing. Excuse me. So we just wanted to rework things to speak more to an all-encompassing mission, which is really to educate and to elevate. And we do that by presenting opportunities to people. We call ourselves dot connectors. So we are now Leo. We've dropped Lynn Economic Opportunity entirely, and our tagline is leading through. Can I not say our tagline?
Empowering opportunities.
No. Empowering opportunities.
That's right.
Love that.
L is leading through empowering opportunities. So taking an individual or a family and just kind of making their situation better, not trying to save people, but trying to just bring people to a place where they can prosper.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Lillian, can you talk a little bit about the history, how long you guys have maybe been around? And I mean, I think just finding out that you guys serve more than just Lynn is huge.
Right.
I'm going to just give you a little brief thing of history as a community action agency as a whole, but Julie will give you a little more information about related to Leo. But yesterday, the network across the United States celebrated 56 years actually of being created. So in August 20th, 1964, it was when President Lyndon Johnson actually proclaimed his word against poverty. So yesterday was a huge day for us across the United States, which it kind of tells you how long we've been fighting this fight. And some of us a little stronger than others, but we all are in it together. And I think it's important to remember that, because a lot of the things that happened back in 1964, when it first was a thought and then it became, a thing, they never thought that we would get this far, but we have come really far from 1964. So I just wanted to put that little bit of history in there, because we're celebrating as a network in Massachusetts and across the United States.
Wow. Well, happy birthday to community action agencies, right?
Yes. What did you get us? Lillian hit it. She gave you what I was going to give you, which is, we've been around for a really long time, and for some people, we are the bedrock. Their children and their children have all been served through us. Some of them have been served by us and then have come to work for us, and they've spent a lifetime with a career with Leo, which is super exciting. And for some people, they just have a new need and they're getting to know us for the first time. So either way, but we have been around since the 60s, and unfortunately we're seeing a lot of the same issues from the 60s with inequity and disparity and racial tension. So there's good and there's bad. Yeah.
Where are you guys located? Just touching on that.
So we're 156 Broad Street, which is our main location, but we have centers throughout the city. We have Head Start centers throughout the city.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Now I want to jump into one of the biggest things that I know that you guys have really been trying to promote lately on your social media, and that's the 2020 census. If there's anything you want to really talk about the census, I would really love to open that conversation up.
So we've been actually engaged with Census for now 2 years. I think at the beginning, I started going to different organizations just to alert them census coming. And I was actually at some of your breakfast events and reminding people about the importance of the census. So now the census came in, and with COVID-19, things just completely changed. Every single organization across not just Massachusetts, across the nation, had to revamp our outreach efforts because we didn't know what it was going to be like. We are still heavily involved now more than before. So we are out on the street. We have people of the community who are out there doing outreach, specifically in areas where we know that the census did really bad 10 years ago. I don't know if people know, but 10 years ago, Lynn was the second worst in Massachusetts. Lawrence led the way by being number one, unfortunately, but we don't want to be the number one. We don't want to be number two. We want to get to the point where we get the city above 60%, but there's still 5 areas within our city that are still between 40 and 50. They have not moved up. We are excited though, within a week, we saw a change in the Highlands. Highlands is one of the census tracts that is extremely low. It went up a whole point. It went from 44 to 45 over a week. So that was super excited. Yes, exactly. So we, my team and I actually do daily check-ins, and we check the census obsessively, trying to figure out what do we need to do. So we changed our plan from what it was going to be, which was a lot of work within the schools. We had amazing ideas with Lisa and Julie about what we were going to do. We're not able to do our carnivals at schools like we wanted to, and the superintendent was super excited to be able to partner with us at that as well. We're still partnering with the school. We have given them a lot of materials. We have put out some of our lawn signs. We have lawn signs available for people. So if they still want them, please, it's still time, especially if you're a business. So on Monday, my team will be going through the city. We did that last week, where we have connected with businesses And it was an idea of one of the pizza shops who wanted more flyers. So we actually order additional flyers to put out in the community. They are making those flyers available to clients. So as they are making deliveries, they're including their flyers, our census flyer, because the census is not important not just to us at Leo, it's important to the whole entire city. I don't know if you guys know, but there's a lot of resources that are at stake. We are at risk of probably losing $34 million that will be missed in the healthcare. $2.4 million on Head Start funds, $2.4 million for fuel, and additional resources that come in through the city for infrastructure. So if we're today complaining about the potholes that we have on the streets of Lynn, things will get worse if we do not count everybody. For the census, the questions about immigration is not part of it. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter whether you speak English or not. We can help you with your language need. And that's one of the key things. We are a key partner with the census, who we are doing also some workshops. We will be on August 29th. One of the pastors from Lynn has opened up his church for his congregation. So we will have people from the census. We're not employees of the census. We're not federal staff. So we are not able to actually complete the census form for people, but we can assist them. And that's one of the things that we are heavily involved with coordinating the churches. We have a second church as well who will be participating. The date is to be determined. It probably will be on a Saturday for his own congregation. We know that churches are the places where our people that are normally not counted in the census, they feel safe. So we are going to where they are. And we, as Community Action Agency, we have partnerships. And I am grateful to those pastors who have opened up their church to us to be able to do this. So I'm looking forward to do that. Last week, I was at a church, the same church, Casa del Padre, on Chestnut Street. I did a live presentation for them as well. I came into his congregation. I talked to them about the importance of doing the census. I focus, of course, on the children. We are Head Start, so our main focus is always education, making sure that all those kiddos are counted, because if we think about the census, it's only once every 10 years. So if that child was born yesterday, that child counts, because by the time the census come back, it's 10 years. That kid will be in 4th grade.
Right.
We don't count them now. We're losing $2,400 per person. It doesn't matter your age, whether you were born yesterday or if you are elderly, it doesn't matter, you're still counted. If you multiply that amount by 10 years, the city is losing a tremendous amount of federal resources. It also affects the state, because that's how we get a lot of resources. So for all of us, whether you are in Lynn or any other city, it's the same problem. We want to make sure that every single person is counted. So we have invested a lot of resources in the past 2 years. We have, in the past 2 years, we have distributed over 30,000 flyers, prepping people that is coming. We've partnered with multiple organizations. We've done workshops for them. Yesterday we did a presentation for Hawk, and they sent an email saying how one of my staff was so enthusiastic when they did their presentation. We're of course doing everything through Zoom, but we are leaving our fears behind, and we are out there in the field with people. We will be there with the census staff to make sure that that is happening. The other thing that we were coordinating is for us to be able to do census while people are food distributions. So we are doing that at our site for our elder distribution. We're doing it for St. Stephen's has a food distribution. The census is there. So if you need to do your census, there are places where you can go. You can always email me and we can give you that information. They will also be at the health center for the food distribution. There's also planning, we're organizing right now for them to be at the testing site. The Lynn Health Center has been one of those amazing partners. This will be our second time there. We did early on in March, we were there doing outreach on the Saturday, first thing in the morning. It was freezing cold and it was so windy, but we were there and we talked to every single person in the line and gave them tons of information about the census. So we've been doing a lot of outreach, old-fashioned outreach, where we used to do one with Salem State. We partnered with Salem State a year ago in August. For their first time students, we were out in the community and distributed over 1,500 flyers on one day. So we've been at this for quite a while, promoting and enforcing that. So we, of course, are extremely focused on the census right now.
Yeah.
Especially since it was shortened by 1 month. So we only have weeks left,
Right.
7 left to complete the census. So one of the things that I would say, if you're a business owner, please let us know if we can help you. We can go in there. It doesn't have to be a huge group of people. If you have 5 people, those are 5 more people that we can count. We can coordinate with the census where they can go in. If you have a specific language need, they can also accommodate those language needs. Might not be able to do every single language, but we have a way to figure out how to do it. So those are the things that I can tell you that we are still doing a lot. The other thing that we did is that we are making wellness calls to our current clients and past clients. So when COVID-19 came, we had a department and we didn't know, okay, what are we going to do? We kept every single staff person on staff, and we redeployed them to make phone calls. Originally was phone calls for the census, but then soon we realized that we needed to do more than that. So we took that opportunity to remind people of all the resources, the emergency funding, all those other things that we do, as well as making sure that they didn't miss their doctor's appointments. And there are so many stories of people who, didn't know at the beginning of the pandemic, didn't know where to go, who to call, and they were waiting for phone calls. That was another thing that we did a little differently, is that we decided immediately that clients needed to hear from us instead of a voicemail message. So we have our staff from home. They're responding to phone calls. We created a triage so our staff wouldn't be answering the phone calls all day long, because at the beginning it was very overwhelming for our staff answering those phone calls. So we created a triage. So our phone main line was always answered by someone. And if it's not, because it's they're on the phones with someone else, but we do call clients within 24 hours and a lot of times less than that. So that's one of the things that we've been doing. We're doing tons of work on the census, taking every single opportunity that we can to continue to promote it. And we will be there all the way to the last day.
Now, Lillian, if a business is interested in getting connected with you, best is to email you or to call the main number.
Whatever it is easier for them, they can call our main number and we'll send it to you so you have it. But they can also email me. That will be, if it's easier for you to email, go ahead, email me. We'll make sure that you get those signs, the loan signs. You can easily put them on your windows, which is a lot of business has done. And we also have people that are out in the community putting loan signs on people's loans as well. So yes, they can, whatever way they can reach us.
That's great. I know we typically will put your contact information in underneath this video as well. So I know it's on the video, but it will be also in the Facebook. So and I know that you touched on kind of how you guys have adapted to COVID-19, but I'd love to hear a little bit more. Obviously, with schools not reopening in Lynn, I wanted to hear what you guys are doing and talk about your other programs as well.
Okay. I can start with this. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. We're too polite. I can happened with us. We obviously had a hard stop in March, which left children and families in a difficult position. And it became clear to us that right away food was a need, and diapering children that are typically diapered in our care was a huge need. And so our entire educational staff and staff of home visitors, home health care workers, all pivoted, and we essentially made getting food out a huge priority, and reaching out to families and asking them how they were managing became a big priority, and trying to fulfill some of their diapering needs and hygiene needs. So we did thousands and thousands of food drops and additional pop-ups in parking lots where people could come and get food. And we have been super held up by Essex County Community Foundation, by the United Way, by who else do I need to say? Greater Boston Food, Cradles to Crayons, Blue Cross Blue Shield. Our COVID fund fortified this effort, and our community rallied in a huge way. And we have donors that have nothing to do with our area, but just know that we're hard hit, we're a hot spot, and that we have an ongoing poverty issue. And, people came from all kinds of communities, got a list of names from got a list of addresses and drove around a community they don't know and dropped chickens and diapers and all kinds of great things. So this is an incredibly hard time, but this is a time that we really were able to show what we were made of. And I for one am very proud of how we have showed up and continue to show up. But one of the other big efforts was getting education to students remotely. And so our teachers put together a Zoom platform where they would Zoom babies and Zoom, their parents. And it blows your mind to think of it, but that became a very close, cohesive community that parents and children needed. They needed an outlet. They needed a plan for the day. They needed to see each other because our educators have become, strong figures in their lives. And so being without them was a big deal. So we did class dojos where the kids would have art and movement, and we went door to door and dropped off STEM projects and little gardens for kids to grow. Wow. We did a drive-by graduation rally, which was just another awesome effort from our educators, just that they have the steam, get out on the streets and with little caps and gowns and little diplomas, because that it's a huge moment and it should be marked. And so that was a big deal. And then in early July, Head Start opened first, followed by Early Head Start. And we gave priority to either children that are in a critical need of one-on-one, or parents that are in a critical need to get back to work. So the learn and the earn model. And we followed Department of Early Ed and Care very closely, and the CDC and the governor's recommendations and our local recommendations. And we had to be very mindful. We were stepping out before anyone else was, so it was like a huge leap of faith for our educators and for our community and for parents to just trust that we were going to take good care of their kids in a pandemic. So right. We stripped the classrooms down. We had everything professionally cleaned. Our educators are in PPE. That means masks. It means face masks. It means smocks. It means gloves. We have new spacing requirements, hand washing routines. We have separate rooms if children show symptoms during the day, or if staff shows symptoms, to quarantine. So it's Herculean at best. It's amazing, and we did it, which is, I want to knock on wood, because every single day you just hope is a healthy day. But so far we have been healthy, and so far parents are happy to be back. They're happy to be back to work. They're happy to have the support and care, and the children are they're playing again, and they're learning again, and they're back on track. So it's a big deal. We had to do it. We are a critical resource for our community. A lot of daycares could step back because their parents could be home, working from home, and we just are not set up with that model in our community. So it's happening.
At what capacity are you guys at right now? Are you at full capacity with your kids?
We're not. All of our centers are open, but all of our classes are pared way down.
Mhm.
So everything, all of this, yeah, all of the centers are functioning, but none of them at capacity, which also is, leaves a hole for the community, but it leaves a hole for us too, because our funding is
Right.
based upon the amount of students that we bring in. So I don't want to trump it up too much. It's working well, but it has its flaws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough.
With regard to the other programs, we still are functioning. Our fuel program, who is under community services department, has never stopped going to work. So COVID-19 came in right in the midst of us still working on intake applications. We had to, of course, immediately switch to figure out, how we were going to keep our staff safe. As Julie said, that is a priority for us. And so what we did is that we immediately continue to go to work. That's the one team that never stopped going to work 5 days a week. They were there. We divided the teams into two, so they wouldn't be together at any time. We have making sure that our staff continues to be in the same space, but there's plenty of space where there is no interaction between them, and it's still processing all those applications. We're getting ready for the new season, and one of the things that with fuel is that people normally don't realize that the fuel assistance has a very high income limit. For example, for a person of one person household, the gross income limit is $39,000. For a family who is 51,137. And these are the income guidelines that are going to start for this new season, which starts in October. But those are the guidelines that we are going to be going by this year. And for 3 people, it's $63,000, 169. So there are resources available, and we do encourage people to keep that in mind. The one thing too is that we have our conservation department. That's a department that did stop for a little while, and soon, we've trained by how to have precautions. We have auditors that go to people's home. They couldn't go during the pandemic, the beginning of the pandemic, but they're back in the field. They're doing audits. They're making sure that our contractors are following the protocols. They all are wearing their PPP equipment, masks, coveralls from top to bottom, max shields. All of that is still happening. So that was one department that did stop for a little while, but then it kept on going. We still have staff from home, working from home. We are doing the replacement of appliances and light bulbs and all that remotely. So we call people, we do it via FaceTime, WhatsApp, whatever it is easier for the client, we make it happen. And then we'll just mail everything to them. Once things change a little bit, then of course we'll be going back. But right now we're the only 2 people that are going out are our auditors. So you see them in homes, making sure that one of the key things with that program is that we do replacement of heating systems. So we are extremely worried that heating season is coming, winter is coming. We want to make sure that all those households are out there and that qualify for our services, which are the same income guidelines for people, that they are going to start the heating season with a either repair or replace system. So if you are out there and don't know what to do with your heating system and don't have the resources, please do not hesitate to reach out to us, because we can come and help you. We are out there doing replacement or repair. We are also putting insulation into homes, and we're making sure that when we do that work, we oversee the project from beginning to end. From the bidders, we have contractors that work with us. who have been doing this business for a long time, and they're professionals as well. They're keeping their staff as well safe, and they're making sure that they follow all the precautions that are needed. So between, getting the fuel that helps you to keep warm and our conservation department, we literally can outfit a house and you will be saving tons of dollars. Not only because, we help you with those resources or replacing your heating system to sometimes zero cost to the client. So that's a key thing, that if you are within those income brackets, please reach out to us. And if you have a larger family, reach out to us. Look at our website. The income guidelines are there under the fuel program, but they're very high. But there's this misconception that you have to be extremely poor to be able to qualify for those services, and that is not the truth. And the other thing too is that our staff are so professional. The first time that you apply, it can be overwhelming. Fuel has a lot of regulations and a lot of requirements that we have to meet. So as such, we have to make sure that clients submit all the information. One thing I can tell you is that our staff, if you can only submit 5 things at a time, they will work with you to make sure that, that at the end that you receive those funds, that whether the rent is included or not, you can still qualify for services. The key thing is that you meet that income guideline. But as I said before, the income guideline is high.
And it's year round that people can reach out to you for that, or is that starting in the fall?
It starts in the fall. So normally we have the summer to kind of wrap up the year before. It starts in October. It ends a lot of times in April, but depending how the winter is, and that's one of the things I can't really tell you the exact date that we end, because if it's a really bad winter, they have extended those dates. So sometimes it can end in April. This time around, it ended a little later because of COVID-19. So those are the things that have changed. The other thing that have changed on this program is that before you had to come in and do a face-to-face interview. Because of COVID-19, we're not doing that. We don't foresee in the near future to have that need. The state have made some changes because we had to adapt to what's happening right now. So everything is by phone. We have moved our copy machine. So if you need to bring in documentation, we have a machine there. We have envelopes. We have a mailbox. Leo mailbox is right there in the same area, so clients can come in. They still have to bring in the paper documentation, unfortunately. But we have it all where we can make it available for you at in our entrance. The other thing that we're doing is that because we know that, there'll still be a need for some clients to come in and need that assistance, we are in the process of looking at our space, reconfiguring our space to make sure that it's conducive to do business. So in the future, we will be seeing clients, but not immediately. So we are heavily involved right now in trying to figure out, okay, what is it that we have? How can we keep our staff safe while at the same time our clients can still feel that our doors are open? Our doors, as Julie said, never close. We are there remotely. We did the same thing for VITA. VITA was one of the programs that, was in the midst of it. That's a free tax service that we do. We had over 250 people waiting to see us. We served 125 clients this year. We had plans to serve over 300, and we would have served 300, but it took a little time for the IRS to adjust because, again, it's such a confidential information that is disclosed during that time. So we understand our clients. We knew that, having them upload documents and do all that can be cumbersome for some people. So we saw a drop on that. We had a lot of people that started the process but didn't finish. But I'm always one of those that I always think good things come sometimes with bad things. The good thing that came out of it is that we had 4 volunteers who were there dedicated to us and dedicated to doing those taxes. They took the Leo equipment, the phone to home, and they were making calls, processing those income taxes from home. The other thing that happened was that it also, the IRS had to adjust. Now what we have, which is what we're going to use for this coming year, is that people will still be able to come and see us. We'll do the intakes face-to-face with a scheduled appointment. Of course, we always done appointments, and we will be able to upload that information, and our volunteers can actually be more effective. Instead of having to drive to our office, they'll be able to volunteer from home. There is a very intensive training that happens. Of course, they have to sign off confidentiality issues and all that. Once we do all of that, then they're accepted to be volunteers. So I would reassure clients that, when that happens, these are professionals. We have 2 CPAs who were volunteering for us. And I am forever grateful to all the hours that they have put in. And we are really looking forward to the new season because we feel that we will be able to serve a lot more people. And I'm hoping that more people can volunteer as well, because there is a need. There's a great need in Lynn with regards to free taxes. So that's one of the things that we changed. The other thing that Julie talked a little bit was about our emergency fund. As of today, we as an organization have utilized around a little bit over $1 million of funding that came available to us, as Julie had said, from organizations, collective impact relief efforts, that's ECCF, the Essex County Community Foundation, and United Way had made available to us. And over this time between now and when those funds were available to us, we have served 1,344 clients. So that's work, like I said, it meant that our community service department had to pivot and change some of the practices that we had, because again, our concentration was making sure to get those funds to families. We're collaborating with other organizations in the city as well to make sure that those funds are available through them to their clients. So, and we are processing all those payments. So, our accounting department had to shift because of that as well. So those are the things that we've kind of done and continue to do for our community. And I think, as Julie said, we are so proud of our staff that they a lot of the ideas, a lot of the things that we've done has come from some of them as well. And they've been in it from day one, and they have not changed, whether it's Head Start, fuel conservation, making calls for census, which is something that they never had to do as part of their jobs. But we do have one member of our conservation department who has done over 4,000 phone calls, her alone. So that's how committed our staff has been. She's getting ready to go back to her normal work, but still she wants to continue to be able to carve some of her time to still make those calls.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that we've seen through our organization. People that had not done something, they're like, oh, I'll volunteer for that. And they have shined. And as I said, forever we'll be grateful to all our staff, because with masks and equipped with everything that they needed, they were out there from day one, and they have not stopped.
Lillian, I congratulations on everything, how you guys have pivoted, and I applaud your staff greatly.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah. I did want to just touch on one thing quick that you were talking about, specifically your volunteers for VITA.
Yes.
What are there requirements? I know you mentioned that you have some CPAs that help out, but if you could just, I don't know, I know that we've tried to send out some information this before tax season started, but I just want to touch on that. So if there's anybody that might be interested in volunteering, they might have.
Yes, and we welcome everyone, by the way. There's really not a specific requirement.
Okay.
The requirement is that you do have to go through a intensive training to the IRS, and you do have to take a test at the end. But the IRS has made it easier. Everything is electronic. I think it's just, if you really want to do it, we have a VITA coordinator who will work with you. So it doesn't matter. We can help you with regards to the training. We can make computers available. If the volunteer doesn't have a computer, we can make that available. If, as things change for next year, if doing it from home is not doable, we will have a space in our office available to do that as well. So really, for volunteers, there is really not a specific requirement. It's just the desire to put out the hours, because those hours are needed. And then we will make everything available to you, the training, the computers. If you, we have all the equipment. So we have in the past, and I want to also say that is that some of the banks, not this year, but the year before, made their staff available to us. I have to say that that was the first time that we did VITA. So we only been, we did VITA twice. Our first year, our goal was only 50 people. We did over 100 people.
Wow.
And we only did it with a few people from a bank and my 2 staff members. So it took a lot, but we've learned a lot. And now, you know, the processes are much easier because we will have the ability to scan things and have it all electronically. But for volunteers, it's just a desire to serve. And as we, you know, we have a huge need, of course, for VITA season, but we always have a need, you know, in the community engagement team department is one of the things that we always do. And we're always looking for people to be able to be out there with us to do what we do, because it's very important that people see people that they're familiar with. The model that the Census is utilizing, making sure that they are with people that they know. And I think it works on anything that you do when it comes down to volunteerism. But also, you know, the big thing that I heard from the VITA volunteers was that they cannot wait to start again this year. They're more excited this coming year as they were this past year, despite the fact of COVID-19. And that's one of the things I always hear about from everyone that volunteers for our programs.
Lillian, would we benefit from Spanish speakers for VITA?
Yes, always.
Yeah.
You know, the demographics of the city, there are over 50,000 people in Lynn that speak other language other than English. It's Spanish being one of the largest one, but we're starting to see a lot of other languages, you know, and we do have a lot of projects in the pipeline of, you know, be able to engage people of other languages. We at our organization, we have a phone line that we can call. So it doesn't matter what language you speak, we make sure that we make those resources available to you. If our staff doesn't speak that language, we can leverage our phone system. But we are lucky that in our organization, we have, as Julie indicated, we hire people from the community. Sometimes in Head Start, for example, we have someone who starts as a volunteer, and then we encourage them to come in and apply. And then we work with them to make sure they go to school and get all the certifications. So we do have a lot of staff that speak other language, and Julie probably knows the demographics better than I do, but we do. Our staff, and that's a commitment that we have as an organization to make sure that our organization represents the people that we serve. And that's a commitment that comes from the top, from Brigada all the way to the bottom.
Wow. It's just, you guys have such a wide variety of different services and so important to the community. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything future planning? I know that we've touched on a couple things throughout the conversation, but is there anything that you guys wanted to touch on before?
There was one thing I wanted to circle back with Head Start, and it also sort of speaks to what we're doing in the future. We have increased our trauma-informed care team to address the real social, emotional issues that will come from having spent so much time out of school, and also getting into a new schedule. And, you know, there's fear associated with that families have at home, and then they bring that to the classroom. So that's one plan that we have recently implemented. And the other thing is we hired a meditation and wellness coordinator for our own staff. And she takes us, we have a weekly meeting, and she takes the entire staff through a real wellness check and a quiet meditation, and is really teaching mindfulness to the whole staff, which is something that we're hoping to keep moving into the future. And I think people are loving it. And I know even myself, I'm benefiting from it for sure.
Especially during this time, I bet.
Right. We should get you on.
I know. Call me up. Join.
Yeah, join us. Lillian probably has more she can say to planning.
Yeah. So that's another thing that, you know, we are not in the food distribution, but we have partnered with organizations, Salvation Army being one of them. We are heavily involved as well with the Food Security Task Force to make sure that we as a community action agency have resources available As I said, we don't do food. We do a very small food distribution for our Head Start parents, families, and our elders. But we are partnered with other organizations, and I wanted to thank them as well, because we, as Julie said, we are connectors. We don't do everything, but as a community action agency, we are informed of what's happening in the city, whether it's related to food, whether it's related to education, whether it's related to what's happening with housing. We are as involved as we can on all the issues related to Lynn, because that's one of the main cities that we serve, but it's not the only city that we serve. So our services are for, as Julie said early on, all the cities that we serve. But I do want to take a moment to say that, you know, all those other organizations that partner with us, that have allowed us to come in, my staff specifically, to come in and do workshops for you, or quickly have, you know, reminder of the services that we have. We would not be able to do what we do and connect everyone if it wasn't because they always welcome us and informing us of the changes that they're making as well. So I think that's one of the things that I can truly say is that as a community action agency, that's a key component of what we do. We don't do everything, but there are experts out there, and our main focus, if we don't do it in-house, we connect those clients. And that's one of the things that I always said, you know, you might not know where to go, but if you know Leo's number, call us, that we will figure out how to connect you to what your services are. And I think that's a key thing when you are a community action agency, because you do need to be informed. Our leader, Brigitta, it's someone who's relentless. She's always, you know, has days where literally first thing in the morning, she's in a Zoom meeting, and then she's 6 o'clock, she's still participating on something. And then we hear all about it the following day, and it trickles down to all our staff, because we want to make sure that when people call, everybody knows. So those are the key things that I think are important to remember, but I wanted to take time and think of all those organizations, and to also remind them if there is anyone there, and I open those doors as well for businesses. If you have a staff that has a need, please do not hesitate to reach out to us, because we are your local action, community action agency, and we are effective if you utilize us. And that's one of the key things. Sometimes people are too overwhelmed, especially around this time, you know, they don't know where to call or who to go to. By all means, please reach out to us. Our staff is tremendous, and we make sure that they're safe, as well as their mental health, because we, in these times, we all need it. And believe me, I'm one of those, it's not easy for me to sit and meditate, but I'm starting to get better. I'm getting better at it. And that's another thing, you know, I have to say it was great to be able to, it's great to have those Zoom meetings where we see all our staff participating and hearing about how proud they are to be part of Community Action Agency, being part of their programs, and how we're out there serving clients, but also be able to give them back, you know, that we appreciate them. Even if it's a small thing, you know, meditation. It's not for everybody, believe me, it was not me. The first time I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do? But I have to say it has been a great value.
Well, thank you guys so much. I just wanted to put out there that your information is in the chat or underneath this video on Facebook. So contact information in there. And I just want to thank you guys so much for participating in this. And if there's any last things you guys want to say, please do. But
I want to say that the Greater Lynn Chamber rocks, and we absolutely love you guys. This is not a paid sponsorship. I just want to say that all the information that we have, we know the very first people to share it will be all of you, and you are a trusted source. And that's, you know, what Lillian mentioned. You're out in the community. You're a face that people know and trust. You know, businesses big and small. And you having our back is a huge deal. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much for that. And, you know, it's what we believe in, and strong business equals strong community. So we truly believe that. And however we can support you, we will. So
we'll stalk you.
I miss your fundraiser this past May. Was it in May that you typically do it? Yeah.
Well, we do June and September, but yeah, we miss it too. Hopefully it'll be back in some way, shape, or form. And Yeah, it was fun.
It was.
Yeah.
You'll miss it.
I know. Well, thank you guys so very much. And everybody else, stay tuned for third week of Friday for Good next week. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Lillian.
Bye.